Hi guys, welcome to Rock Computer College. This is a platform where we teach computer lessons varying from computer packages, graphic designs, video editing, and so on. I'll be Cha-Ain, and today I'll be handling computer basics, that is, computer introduction to computer packages. Now, all topics will be covered for university, college, and secondary students. So let's get right in. So, what is a computer? What is a computer? Now, a computer is an electronic device that accepts data from the user, processes it, produces results, displays them to the users, and stores the result for future usage. It's a device, an electronic device. It uses electricity to run that accepts data from the user. Now, you give it instructions of what you want it to do. It will process that data, produce results, then display them to the user, now that's you, and store the results for future usage. Examples of computer systems are laptop, desktop, notebook, tablet, PDA, server, smartphones, and others. I think we all have interacted with one of these, if not all, but those are examples of computer systems that we have. Now, let's look at the basic parts of a computer. The basic parts of a computer. These are the input unit, the output unit, the control unit, the arithmetic logic unit, and memory. Now, an input unit, these are devices like keyboard and mouse that are used to input data and instructions to the computer. This is what you use to give your instructions to the computer. Now, output unit. Output units are devices like printer and visual display units that are used to provide information to the user in desired format. Now, input unit, these are the devices you use to give the computer your instructions. Then once you've given your instructions, the computer will give you feedback using output units. Now, these are like printers if you wanted to print something, or a visual display unit like a monitor. Hope we're together. The control unit. This controls all the functions of the computer. All devices or parts of computer interact through the control unit. So it basically controls the functions of the computer. It's that simple. The arithmetic logic unit. This is the brain of the computer, where all operations and logical operations take place. The memory. All input data, instructions, and data are processed and stored in the memory. Now, anything that you process, instructions will be stored in the memory. Now, the memory is of two types. That's primary memory and secondary memory. Now, I'll explain to you the main differences between those two. But I hope you've understood. You've gotten the basic parts of a computer. These are the input unit, output unit. This is what we use to give instructions and receive feedback from the computer. The control unit. It controls, just basically from the name, it controls the functions of the computer. The arithmetic logic unit. This is the brain of the computer. These are all the arithmetic operations and logical operations are done. And memory. This is where all data, instructions are processed and stored. Now, I said memory is of two types. That is the primary memory and the secondary memory. Now, what is a primary memory? This is the main memory of the computer, which is used to store information or data temporarily. Now, remember, it is the main memory of the computer. This is the main memory of the computer, and it is used to store information or data temporarily. Doesn't stay there permanently, stay there for a temporal time. Now, it is divided into two. There is RAM and ROM. Now, RAM stands for random access memory, while ROM stands for read-only memory. I hope we've gotten what primary memory is. Let's go to secondary memory. This refers to external storage devices. External storage devices. that are used to store data or information permanently. Secondary storage devices are of two types. Now that's magnetic and optical. But back to the definition. This one stores data permanently. It's not like the primary memory. Now that's the difference. Then another thing, primary memory are inbuilt in your computers, the RAM and the ROM. While secondary, they are external storage devices, like the hard disk, as you'll see in our examples. They are external storage devices that are used to store data permanently. Now, they are of two types, that's magnetic and optical. An example of a magnetic device is a hard disk, while optical storage devices are CDs, DVDs, pen drives, and zip drives, or flash, Yes, I hope you've understood. Let's move on. Booting. This is starting of a computer. The starting of a computer is called booting. Now, once you start, there's a set of instructions that run when the computer is switched on. Now, that set of instructions that run when the computer is switched on is called BIOS. Now, that is short for Basic Input Output System. And that is a firmware. BIOS is a firmware. Now, there are two types of booting. There's cold booting and warm booting. And this is the difference. When the system is started by switching on the power supply, it is called cold booting. Now, this is when the computer was completely shut down and it was off. Nothing was running. It had to start from zero. Now, this is called cold booting. And the next step in cold booting is loading of BIOS, the set of instructions that run. Now, warm booting is when the system is already running. The system is already running and needs to be restarted or rebooted. Now, that is called warm booting. And this is much faster than cold booting because BIOS is not reloaded. Remember we said when you turn on a computer, it runs a set of instructions. Now, that is BIOS. Now, warm booting, the system is already running. So that means BIOS already was loaded. You don't have to reload it again. So that's why we're saying warm booting is faster than cold booting. Let's look at the hardware and software in a computer. Now, the term hardware refers to the physical components of your computer, such as the system unit, keyboard, monitor. These are the tangible parts of your computer. You can basically touch your mouse, you can touch your keyboard, you can see them. Now, the software it's a set of instructions that makes the computer work. You get the difference? These are set of instructions. These are instructions that make the computer work. That's the difference between the hardware and the software. Hardware, basically, it's the physical part of your computer, while the software is a set of instructions that make the computer work. Now, software is held either on your computer's hard disk, CD-ROM, DVD, and is loaded from the disk into the computer's RAM. I hope you've understood the difference. Let's take a deep look in hardware components. Now, hardware components, we've said these are the tangible parts of your computer, but now they're divided into two subcategories, and that is input devices and output devices. Remember what input devices are? Yes, these are devices that we use to get input or data from user. They are used by the computer to get input or data from user. This is what we use to give instructions to the computer. Good. Examples of input devices are mouse, keyboard, trackables, touchpad, and others. They are main. Now, output devices are the devices used to display output to a user. Now, after you've keyed in your instructions, your data, the info that you'll be getting back, it will be displayed to you using output devices. And these are printers, plotters, speakers, or monitor. Like the example, the picture on your screen, that's a monitor. That's an example of an output device. I hope it was well understood. Let's look into a computer software. Now, computer software, remember, it's a set of programs or a set of instructions that makes the hardware perform a set of tasks in particular order. Now this kind of directs the computer, the hardware part, on what to do. Now, hardware and software both have to work together to produce meaningful results. Computer software is classified into two broad categories. That is the system software and application software. Hope we're together so far. System software consists of a group of programs that control the operations of a computer equipment, including functions like managing memory, managing peripherals, loading, storing, and is an interface between the application program and the computer. Hope you understood. Application software. These are software that can perform a specific task for the user, such as word processing, accounting, budgeting, or payroll, fall under the category of application softwares. Now, types of application softwares are word processing, spreadsheet, presentations, database management, and multimedia tools. Now, the major difference here between system software and application software is a system software maintains the computer resources and also provides a path for application software to run. It maintains the computer resources and provides a path for application software to run. Now, an application software, it enables a user to perform specific tasks. Now, system kind of runs the whole thing, while application performs specific tasks, and you can install an application software afterwards. After now, maybe you wanted to use Word, maybe you wanted to use spreadsheet. Now that's when you install an application software. I hope it was well understood. Now, utility software. Now, this is an application software that assists system software in doing their work. It kind of helps out, And examples of utility software include antivirus software, disk management tools, file management tools, compression tools, and backup tools. Now, let's take a look at types of computer. Now, types of computer are like supercomputer. We have mainframe computer, mini computer, workstation, PC. Now, that's a personal computer. Mini and mainframe computers are very powerful and used by large organizations such as banks to control the entire business operations. Now, get this, they're very expensive. An example is like the image you have there. Now that's an example of a supercomputer. Well, personal computers are cheap and easy to use. These are like laptops, desktops, and smartphones. Very cheap, very affordable, and it's easy to operate a smartphone. Functions of a computer. Now, functions of computers, the three major functions of a computer can be derived from the definition of a computer. Now, do you remember what a computer is? Well, if you do, then you'll get this real fast, because the first function of a computer is receiving inputs. Data is fed into computer like through various input devices. Remember the input devices like keyboard, mouse. Input can also be fed through devices like CD-ROM, pen drives, and scanners. The second function of a computer is processing the information. After it has received the info, it moves on to processing the information. Operations on the input data are carried out based on the instructions provided in the programs. The third function of a computer is storing the information. After processing the information, it gets stored in the primary or secondary storage area. Now, back to the definition of computers. It's an electronic device that simply receives input, processes the information, and stores the data for future usage. Now, those are the functions of a computer. Characteristics of computers. The first one, there are many, but we'll be covering 4 in this class. The first one is speed. Now, we know that computers work at an incredible speed. a computer works with much higher speed and accuracy compared to humans while performing mathematical calculations. You know that a computer can process millions of instructions per second. Now that makes it a very fast medium of processing information. The second one is accuracy. In addition to being fast, computers are also accurate. Computers perform calculation with 100% accuracy. Now that doesn't mean there won't be errors. Errors may occur due to data inconsistency or inaccuracy, but they're 99% of the time they're accurate. Diligent. Now, unlike human beings, computers are highly consistent. That means they don't feel any fatigue at all or lack of concentration. Its memory also makes it superior to that of human beings. So it will maintain its consistency. And the last one is storage capacity. Today's computers can store large volumes of data. Remember when we talked about permanent and primary and secondary storage? Exactly. Now, those allow the computer to store large volumes of data, which is a very good thing. A functional unit. Functional units, these are like, we've already gone through this, but we're taking a deeper look into them. We have the input unit, the storage unit, the output unit, the CPU, arithmetic logic unit, and the control unit. Remember we had gone through some of this, like the input unit. We said it's a unit used for entering data and programs into the computer system by the user for processing. The storage unit is used for storing data and instructions before and after processing. Now, the output unit is used for storing the results as output produced by the computer after processing. Now, the new term here is CPU. Now, this is the central processing unit. The task of performing operations like arithmetic and logic operation is called processing. The central processing unit, that is the CPU, takes data and instructions from the storage unit and makes all sorts of calculations based on the instructions given and the type of data provided. I hope we're together. Now, the CPU, the central processing unit, takes data and instructions from the storage unit. Makes all sorts of calculations based on the instructions given and the type of data provided. Now, the CPU includes arithmetic logic unit and control unit. It has two parts. Now, the arithmetic logic unit performs arithmetic functions. Now, these are the mathematical functions like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and also some logical operations such as greater than, less than, and equal to. The control unit in itself controls all operations like input, processing, and output. Hope we're together. The control unit, it controls all operations like input, processing, and output. Hope you understood. Let's look at the operating system. Now, an operating system is a software that controls systems hardware and interacts with the user and application software. An OS, basically an OS. It's a software that controls systems hardware and interacts with user and application softwares. Functions of an operating system. The operating system performs the following functions. 1. It offers a user interface. This is what you see. This is what you use to give the instructions. This is the user interface. It loads programs into computer's memory. It coordinates how programs work with the hardware and other softwares. It manages how information is stored and retrieved from the disk. It saves contents of file onto disk. Reads contents of file from disk to memory. It also allocates RAM among the running programs. I hope that was clear. Moving on. Now, popular operating systems are like Windows. Now that's basically what most of us use, is Windows. This is a graphic user interface operating system first developed by Microsoft in 1985. There is Linux, and then there is the mobile OS that operates. It's an operating system for smartphones, tablets, and other mobile devices. Now let's move on to how computer memory is measured. Now remember, we talked about the memory, the primary memory, the second memory. Now we're going to look at how the memory is measured. Now, all computers work on a binary numbering system. Binary means 2. They process data in ones or zeros. Now this 1 or 0 level of storage is called a bit. That is the smallest unit of measuring memory, a bit. Because bits are so small, you rarely work with that information. That is why computer storage or memory is often measured in megabytes, that is MB, or gigabytes, that is GB. Now, a bit, 8 bits form a byte. You know, a byte. A byte is formed by 8 bits. A byte consists of 8 bits. A kilobyte consists of 1024 bytes, and so on and so forth, and they keep on building on each other. From a kilobyte you go to a megabyte. Now a megabyte consists of 1024 kilobytes, 1024 kilobytes, and a gigabyte consists of 1024 megabytes. But we mostly use a megabyte or a gigabyte to measure memory. Let's look at microprocessors, or the central processing unit. We've already gone through this, but now let's take a deeper look into it. The CPU, as we said earlier, is referred to as the brain of the computer. It is the brain of the computer. The CPU, that is the central processing unit, is one of the most important components within your computer. It determines how fast your computer will run and is measured by MHz speed. Now, some of the factors that impact on a computer's performance include the CPU speed, the RAM size, or the hard disk speed and capacity. Now, if it's fast, obviously it will work better, it will be more efficient. If the RAM is large, the size it's large, it will work better than when the RAM size is small. Now, let's go into basics of computer network. Now, a computer network is an interconnection. A computer network is an interconnection between 2 or more hosts or computers. It's an interconnection between 2 or more hosts or computers. There are several different types of computer networks. Some computer networks can be characterized by the size as well as their purpose. Now, some of the different types of networks are personal area network, local area network, metropolitan area network, and wide area network. Now, we will look at each of these in another lesson, and I'll explain to you the differences between a personal area network and a local area network in another lesson. Let's look at uses of network. We use network, it's more easy to share. We use network to share information, for businesses, for entertainment, and for research purposes. It's easy to share information when connected to a network. Now, the World Wide Web, or the web, is the name given to all the resources of internet. And then there's something known as the search engine. This is an application that allows you to search for content on the web. Like, for example, have you ever tried to Google something? Now, there's the search engine at the top. That's where you type in, or where you key in what you want to search. That is the search engine. It allows you to search for content on the web. Now, lastly, we look at the computer viruses. Now, you remember earlier we had talked about softwares, and there were utility softwares, and one of them was antivirus. Now, an antivirus fights a virus. Now, what's a virus? A virus can be defined as a malicious program that attaches itself to a host program and makes multiple copies of itself, slowing down, corrupting, or destroying the system. It's a malicious program. It comes to destroy the system. Now, the main types of viruses are boot sector viruses. This infects the boot sector in the hard disk and affect the partition table. We have the file viruses. These attach with the executable files. The system viruses, they infect specific system files. Trojan horse, they will enter a computer through an email or free programs that have been downloaded from the internet. And worms, these are constructed to infiltrate the legitimate data processing programs and alter or destroy the data. Now, those are the main types of viruses. There are many more, but those are the ones that we're looking at right now. We have the boot sector viruses, the file viruses, the system viruses, the Trojan horse, and worms. How to prevent virus damage? The basic way, the very easy way of protecting your computer system is by using an antivirus software. That way you'll protect your system from viruses. Then take precautions against viruses. Now, many companies have supply updated disks on a regular basis or allow you to receive updates through an electronic or online bulletin board. Now, if you keep on updating your antivirus software, you'll find it that it will be hard for a virus to infiltrate your system. Now, that is the end of our lesson for today. Next lesson will be a practical one. Now, this is where I'll show you how to do basic things on your computer, how to turn on a computer, how to change the desktop background, how to customize your desktop. That will be in the next lesson. Remember, this is Rock Computer College, and we help individuals learn the basic practical computer skills needed for everyday living. Now, the skills that I teach you here, you'll use them at your work, at school, anywhere, and you will find it that it makes your life easier. Now, we teach from basic to advanced level and make you an IT expert. Thank you for joining us in this lesson. Hope to see you in the next lesson. Have a good day.